To the Penobscot County Commissioners meeting of April 15th, 2025. One of everyone's favorite days of the year, April 15th. At this point, I will call the roll to order. Commissioner Trumbull?
Here.
Commissioner Marshall?
Here.
Mr. Treasurer?
Here.
And the chair is here. At this point, I would ask Commissioner Marshall to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we would move to public comment. Do we have anyone online that you see, Tony?
No.
We have no one online. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to share a public comment? Seeing none, 3, 2, 1, we will close public comment. At this point, I skipped the approval of the minutes, so I will ask for a motion to approve the April 1st minutes.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
It is unanimous. At this point, we will move to the PRCC update. Director Lavoie and Deputy Director Fitzgerald. Gentlemen?
Happy Telecommunicators Day.
Yes.
Thank you. Week, right?
Wait, today's the day now,
Yeah, we
right?
have a week for special. Good morning, Commissioners. It's been a while since we spoke, at least in public session. I apologize for that, but it's been fairly busy, and I'm going to go over a brief highlight with you about what's been going on in our center. So, as you know, for quite a few years, especially coming out of COVID, we experienced quite a bit of a staffing crisis. We're much better off today than we were a while ago, and that is a huge thanks to Deputy Director Fitzgerald, our Administrative Assistant Tracy Hall, and the HR department for the hard work that they put in advertising, interviewing, and getting people into the door. We currently have 7 in training in various stages of training. Some are due to be off in the next month or so, and we just had one start 2 weeks ago. So I also want to recognize one of our supervisors, Supervisor Mike Azevedo. He is the one that is in charge of our training program, and he has put a lot of work into taking a training program that's made for 1 to 3 people at a time to making it fit 7 or 8 at a time. So he's put a lot of work in there. Moving on to the radio project, we're moving ahead with the northern part of the radio project, which will bring us to completion. What we're hoping is this year. Obviously, that is a very, very hopeful guess, but we're not sure what's going to happen, especially with the trade stuff and the tariffs. We're working on, like we're going to be completed this year, we're pushing ahead, which brings us to some lease agreements. We've already started working with Maine Public Broadcasting Network on lease agreements for Springfield. They're also building a new tower in Millinocket, or just outside of Millinocket. That was funded by congressional funding. So those 2 sites should be pretty well wrapped up. Medway, we're already pre-existing there. We just have to re-sign a lease with Atlantic Communications. And then we'll talk about Passadumkeag a little bit later on. Once these lease agreements are finalized and approved, on behalf of you, I'm going to kick them off to Rudman just for their review. And then if you give me permission to sign them, I will execute those for you. We did have several complaints in the past 4 months about the Patton Tower. And a lot of those came from our end users, very spotty coverage, weak signals. Considering the fact that we bought the site, and our plan is this year to replace the equipment, I moved that part up. We were on site in Patton on the 2nd of April. We made those upgrades, and before I could even contact the end users to let them know that it was done, they were contacting me because they had noticed a significant difference. So, again, RCM has done an incredible job for us. From the time we arrived on site to the time we were done was approximately 4 hours with less than 10 seconds of downtime. That's significant. Unless you have any questions on that, I'm going to move on.
Let me ask about the tower site in Miller. Is that Hammond Ridge? Is that the Hammond
Yeah.
Ridge? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Chris, I just had a quick question on your training. Is it about training somebody 3 or 4 months? How long is it training?
So, yeah, it's about 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So from the time we bring someone in through the door for interview, and then they come in job shadow, background, polygraph, and then the training process, it's about 7 to 9 months to bring someone in.
And the 7 training, that's how many positions?
So that brings us to 28.
And that, how many, is that full at 28? How many?
We're still down 3.
Okay.
But we're pausing right now to focus on these 7 to make sure that they stay. And then we'll start working with HR at some point to open it up and hire the last 3.
Is that down 3 exclusive, the 7 in the pipeline?
So, yeah, down 3 total positions.
That's a significant improvement from,
It is.
It is, 'cause I think at this time last year,
congratulations to you for
or
diligent.
9 months ago, I think we were at 19,
Yeah, I think it was,
and we're now at 28.
Yeah.
You know, with what we have, just, you know, to answer Commissioner Tremble's question, so with the 28 people, we made some alterations to the schedule. So it's numbers that we haven't seen before. So we also want to, you know, evaluate what that looks like first, but until we get these people off training, to put them in the room and see what it truly looks like. That's kind of why we put the pause, so we can get a good evaluation. And obviously, having 7 in training, we don't have any more people to train them, because we have more trainees than we do trainers right now. So once we can get through this hurdle, we'll have a better assessment of what it looks like.
Are the 31 positions all funded? Because there were some positions in the budget that weren't actually funded, right?
31 positions are funded,
Funded,
and
okay,
then,
now
and
3 or
then
4
there's
more?
additional 3 that are
Okay,
frozen.
that aren't,
But what the other reason for this is, to sort of dovetail off what Brad said, we have been so short for such a long time that everyone's pulling double, triple, quadruple duty while they're in the room working, right? So the point of having these people and making these scheduling adjustments is so that we can provide a better service to the public, and we have to change some internal operating procedures on how we handle our day-to-day business so that we can provide a better service to the public and our end users.
so these schedule modifications were at the request and to accommodate the existing staff to kind of ameliorate the pressure of the work?
Well, we're making some adjustments. We made adjustments to the schedule to allow for us to evaluate how we change our day-to-day operating procedures in the future.
Well, thank you.
So we've had to change the schedule a couple times because of staffing to meet our coverage, to meet our minimum staffing coverage, and now with this extra staff, you know, we have to, you know, disperse the work a little better, and then obviously evaluate and see, you know, if we're heavier here and, you know, with call volume and stuff, so it'll be a little bit of evaluation period, but it all is contingent on everyone making enough training and
Sure it is.
being successful, but we're very positive and upbeat with this.
Yeah, well, you've
with
done a
this
great job.
crew that we have
I
now.
look back a year and a half ago when you guys have made a quantum leap forward. And
I know it took a little bit of investment on the part of the county for overtime and other compensatory measures, but it seems to have stabilized, and you both do congratulations.
Well, thank you for all of your help too. So the commission was very generous and helped us out, and we recognize that as well, so we appreciate that. We are beginning to prepare for Maine Day in Warno here in a couple weeks. We're going to be sending several emergency communication specialists to the EOC to support our end users and work hand in hand with the Emergency Management Agency. We've done this for the past 5 years, and each year the Field Comm team receives a lot of praise for the work that they do in organizing asset response and assisting our end users with mass gathering events. So they are excited to get out of the office and go out in the field and get some work in, much like what we do for the Millinocket Marathon. The mobile Starlink was purchased through ARPA. It has been tested, and that will be the first actual field deployment of it will be up at Maine Day in Warno. And it should make a very positive difference for us because every year we have bad internet issues up there.
Because of the volume of people, or is it the location? Or?
It's the location. It's a steel building that we're in, so cell phones don't work great in there to begin with, and then their internet there is not stellar, so this should make a big difference for us. Legislative update for you, give you a brief update on that. As you know, I emailed you our stance on LD 168 and LD 808. Those bills were losing a lot of traction after the public hearing, and it's believed that they might put together a work group, but it's believed right now that those bills are going to fail.
So what?
That was the bill for silent panic alarms in schools.
Yeah, right. That's the unfunded mandate from the state?
Yes, so there was
Another
two
unfunded
different,
mandate from the state.
yeah, so there's two different bills. One was for public schools, one was for private schools. And while both of them contained basically the same information, I believe the private school one requested that at the time that the alarm was pushed by the teacher, every parent got notified as well, which would obviously create mass chaos. There are some schools in Maine right now that have invested in silent alarms, some of them in Penobscot County, and they integrate with the system that we're already using. But our fear behind this was there was no standard or metric on how they were going to award that project to anyone. So if we in the Emergency Communication Center had to monitor 20 different programs just to handle Penobscot County, that's not possible for us to do it one time, right? So our purpose for providing that comment back to these bills was to get a stakeholder group together to come up with things like performance standards on how they integrate with the 911 system, or at least integrate with a third-party platform like what we're using, Rapid SOS, and then get the Emergency Services Communications Bureau, the Maine 911 Bureau, involved in the conversation, because they were not included, or they were not included in the writing of the bill. So.
And those, you mentioned that several schools have already invested in silent alarm systems. Are those predominantly public, private, or combination?
Say a combination.
And we have how many in Penobscot County?
I think there's the city of Bangor right now. I know the city of Bangor's using it. I don't know if it's at all.
How does that
schools or
integrate
which
with our
schools.
system?
So it integrates through a third-party company called Rapid SOS.
So it's not, they're not the primary, it's run by a third party, and we are just
Yeah,
a
but we
participant?
use Rapid SOS to enhance our mapping in 911 information. So,
Thank you.
So I'm assuming that you would advocate for some kind of study or working group through EMS board or?
through the Maine Emergency Services Communications Bureau, yeah, the ESCB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you see value in preparing a letter to send to education superintendents in our county to advise them of this? To see if we can, or at least the Maine School Management, someone?
So I know that the Maine Principals Association was completely against this. The reason why they were against this was the funding aspect of it. So they came out in strong opposition against these two bills for the sheer fact that there was no attachment to the bill on how they were going to fund it. So MMA, Maine Principals Association, they were all against it basically on the fact that it was a quote unfunded mandate. I don't know where it's going to go from here. My guess is that the bill is going to fail in this round, and the bill sponsors are going to regroup, try and come up with a funding metric that they can use to assist public and private schools with doing this, and we'll see it in the next couple of years come back again. And maybe a way to fund it attached to that.
Okay, well, certainly I sense your support for the concept, just the implementation is the problem.
Correct. Yep.
All right,
Coming up here, the first week of May 5th to the 8th, is the 27th annual Maine chapter of the National Emergency Number Association, or NENA conference. It's going to be in Portland. We have several employees that will be attending for either all or a portion of the conference. This year, we have some speakers coming up that were actually detectives at the Sandy Hook tragedy, and they're going to talk about their lessons learned, building safety plans for schools. That's going to be the pre-conference class on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we have a breakout session. And the first part of that breakout session is going to be the director and deputy director from Lewiston Auburn 911, along with the director and an operations manager from DPS Augusta, talking about the Lewiston mass shooting and their lessons learned. Also, some leadership classes and mental wellness classes. We also have 4 employees that have been nominated for awards. So ECS Johanna Searway was nominated for Silent Hero. Supervisor Mike Azevedo was nominated for Supervisor of the Year. And then Supervisor Jordana Sprague and ECS Lindsay McPhail will both receive Stork Awards for their successful deliveries of babies prior to EMS arrival. If you want to attend the awards ceremony, it's on May 8th in Portland. Please let me know. We'll get you covered for lunch and awards, and I'll register you. The awards ceremony, lunch starts at noon, awards ceremony starts at 1.
I think the HR director has put that word out to everyone, so thank you.
I don't know whether it's them, but I've got an obligation up in East Millinocket at a board meeting, but I don't have time. Otherwise, I'd be there.
We'll take good pictures for you. How's
Let
that?
me, yeah, thanks. Let me ask another question, and this is, has to do with the Fire Training Academy. I attended that this year, sponsored by Penobscot County, and it provides training for all of the fire departments in Penobscot County invited in. That's conducted by us. It's the Penobscot County Fire Training. Is that a 1 or 2 day event?
That's a multi-week event.
So, and when I talked to you last, you were dependent on community sponsors entirely, is that correct?
They are, yes.
And if I remember correctly, you guys put out of your own pocket to fund lunches for some of these participants. out of your own pocket, is that correct?
So some of the departments do, yeah. I can put you in contact with the president of the Penobscot County Fire Chiefs Association if you wanna.
Well, I'm concerned that this is one of the things that you do that I think is important. And it shouldn't be at a loss.
Right.
We should, did you have any of that money, do you have any money in your budget to account for that for this next year?
So it's not through us, it's through the county fire chiefs. So the county fire chiefs, charge a registration amount, but it's not enough to cover the instructors and
But
everything else.
you
So
conduct the exercises?
we don't through PRCC, no. It's through the Penobscot County Fire Chiefs,
Okay,
so.
I need to clarify that, because I think
Yeah.
that's something that would be worthy of attention. That is something that we need to look at.
I'll get you in touch with Chief Metcalf from the VZ Fire Department. He's the president of the Penobscot County Fire Chiefs, and,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
So, going back to what we talked about the last time we met, as far as the user agreements in that situation, Rudman has reviewed both user agreements and has approved it. We're working on cleaning up how everything looks, and then we'll get those sent out sometime next month. I have received no correspondence from Lee.
Is that in the hands of the district attorney's office?
It is, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Just wanted to give you an update on that. And then this week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. So on behalf of Brad and I, we just want to publicly thank our staff for the difficult and demanding job that they do each and every day. You are more than welcome at some point this week, well, really any time. If you want to come up and visit with our staff, please do. They'd love to see you. So.
Thank you.
Next. So we had an open position. It was formally for QA and training. Brad and I have been working on how we are going to change that now that the state is paying for quality assurance, right? We still have one person in-house that handles the day-to-day organization of quality assurance and pushing out the reviews back to our staff. But we had that supervisor position that we wanted to reclassify. So we've spent a lot of time really looking at our shortfalls and where we need to work on. And we came up with this new position, and the title of it is Emergency Communication Support Specialist. So basically what this person will be doing is working with AWS a lot. They'll also be working in our CAD system a lot to clean up a lot of that data and make sure that addressing is good. As you know, we've dealt with several issues as of late as far as 911 addressing goes. This person would be a direct support person to those 911 addressing officers from municipalities to make sure that the CAD system's updated, the 911 system's updated. It's sort of a catch-all position, but it's a very technical position that both Brad and I do not have the time to handle. So I don't know if you've had a chance to review the job description that was sent out or in your packet, but we are looking to post this position. It's already funded and in the budget. Director Dyer from HR has come up with a adequate wage scale. So we would like your permission to post this position and get us some help up here.
What do the commissioners say in regards to?
Well, I think if it was already put in the budget, it's already been decided, there's no reason to wait to do it.
I would concur.
Okay.
Does it require action on our part?
I think it would
Yeah,
It's in the
I think it
budget.
would because we've reclassified the position. But that's up to you.
So just administrative question on the process. So when the budget when we did the budget last year, we knew this was funded by the state in a quality position. And we said, okay, we're gonna create another position, we're gonna fund, the county's gonna fund it. Is
Well,
that
I
what the
think it was
budget process
originally
was?
the position that we had, but were we aware at
It
that
was-
point that we were getting state funding, or had that?
Correct. So we were aware that we were getting state funding. But we were also aware that we needed to work on this and that we needed this position. So a couple of different aspects here. Not only is this position gonna work hand in hand for us, it's also gonna work with Director Tenney and his staff in the IT department to handle a lot of CAD stuff that they, quite frankly, don't have time for because they don't have enough people. They're also gonna work hand in hand with the EMA staff and the GIS person specifically in EMA. So it's sort of this person is gonna be under the umbrella of the RCC, but he's going to be assisting multiple departments.
So it's budgeted under EMA, under
Under us.
PRCC, but it will have working relations with several other departments.
Correct.
For technology related to,
Yes.
as you may remember, we went to AWS to help with the non-emergency calls. They also found a service to do auditing and quality assurance that has reduced the cost associated with that service that's mandated. So there's a transition here that could be beneficial from an admin standpoint.
Yeah. As we continue to upgrade things and push forward in the world of technology, it needs a lot more attention than Brad and I can give it.
Understood.
And a technical person that
Yeah.
understands it way more than we do.
I guess at this point, what we're looking for is a decision from the commission on the newly designed position, which is within budgetary allowances.
Motion, what, to advertise it or fill it?
To establish this position and then advertise for it.
Well, it's already been funded. Just to a
But
certain.
we're establishing the position and then we're authorizing them to go out.
Okay,
Right, if I could,
Yep.
Commissioner, for clarity, the chair is correct. The money's in the budget. The idea was brought forth at the time of the budget. What you are now approving is the direction, the official direction that's gonna be taken with creating this position and moving forward with filling it.
So are we comfortable at this point for a motion?
oh, we'll move to create and move forward, filling the position.
So we would have a motion
A second?
and a second to move forward with the newly designed position within PRCC and using existing funding within the budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right?
It is unanimous. Thank you for that.
No
A
problem.
couple of items if I could.
Yeah, sure.
I think it would be appropriate for us at the commission level to have letters of recognition or commendation to those individuals who are being recognized, particularly Supervisor.
That's a-
Esposito,
Thank you, Azevedo, I apologize.
I won't hold it against you.
Second is the update that you've provided us regarding the tower work or the upgrades. I think it would be appropriate to add that into the next newsletter that goes out to administrators and elected officials.
I will make sure that I write up.
Get that to the
Write
HR
that up.
department. And then I'm hopeful that at these events that you and EMA do, that we can get some pictures that could be brought in for observation of what our departments do outside of their regular duties. We're in the process of developing a piece, What Does County Government Do? And after we get the printed version, I would be hopeful that we could start to expand the website to have more regular updates on some of these activities. So I think photos of our staff in action, and this would be for any of our departments that go out. I think just having a sort of standard request that we get some photos would be helpful to craft the newsletter and communications we have.
Excellent idea.
I will take care of that for you.
Thank you
I'll
very
take
much.
some pictures because I have a face for radio.
Okay,
And then the last thing that I have for you, if you're all set, to go back, I provided one lease agreement to you, so we're currently an existing tenant on a site in Holden. The tower site and land, buildings, tower, everything was sold. So the buyer of the site was generous enough to let us ride freely for the last 2 years without an updated lease. Our lease expires at the end of May. So what we are looking at doing is re-signing a new lease with the new tower owner. So the owner of the tower is now Clearview Tower Company. They're an out-of-state company. We were paying $1,000 a year to lease space on the site, and it's going up to $3,000. I realize that seems like a huge increase for you.
Going up to 3 or up to 4?
Going up to $3,000. I realize that sounds like it's a significant increase, but you gotta understand, there's some sites we're paying $3,000 a month for. That is still a very generous deal for us. So, with your permission, I'm gonna kick it off to Rudman just to review it and make sure everything's squared away there. But when it comes back, the financial obligation on our side is not going to change. So if you're all set, I will sign and execute that lease.
Need a motion for that?
I'm fine. Motion to that.
I would move approval of that lease agreement.
Have a motion to second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous.
Perfect.
Okay.
Last thing.
Is this the second last thing?
It is, it is. Well, there's 2 lease agreements. One lease agreement you haven't seen yet. I met with Tom Obie from Lighthouse Radio Network. By the way, he says hi. And they have a tower that they have their radio station broadcasted on in Passadumkeag. We need that site in Passadumkeag, if I could say it, to make a redundant microwave loop for us, so that the system has some redundancy to it. What the number that Tom and I came up with was $1,000 a month, so $12,000, still significantly cheaper than a lot of our other sites. But this will give us a lot better RF coverage, especially on that side of the county, and it will allow the system to be a little bit more stable should there be a microwave outage on one of our other sites. So,
And as I understand it, some of these leases are related to the height of the tower and the costs associated with maintenance.
yeah, a lot of it's maintenance cost, right? So, especially with Lighthouse Radio, they're not looking to get rich. They're not the SBAs or the American Towers of the world that are running tower companies, and that's what they do. They are providing radio, and they're looking for a tenant to cover some expenses such as electrical, right? Monthly electrical costs, any maintenance work on the tower.
What
That's a
happens when one of
500.
those lights goes out on the tower?
Yeah, so if a light goes out on the tower, you gotta replace it, and it's crazy to talk about, but depending on the climber that you get and what bulbs are on that tower, it's $10,000 or $20,000 to replace a light bulb on a tower.
And
It's
how
a
often is
580-foot tower, so it's gonna be painted. It's $40,000 to paint a tower, because let's face it, there's not many painters that wanna go out there and hang 580 feet off the ground with a paintbrush. So unfortunately, they got us, but I think $12,000 to Lighthouse Radio is still very generous of them.
Currently, we don't have an agreement, right?
Currently, we do not.
This would be
This would be a
$1,000 a
new-
month, $12,000 a year for redundancy security.
Correct. So,
Was this part of the original plan that we
wasn't part of the original plan, but as we've built out the system, we've identified that we can make it better, and still stay within the budget of the project. So we were able to, lock in pricing, right, which was good for us because it was right at the start of COVID. So we were able to lock in pricing. And then furthermore, we did make some cuts to some specific things. We let RCM engineer the system the way they would engineer systems, and they haven't steered us wrong, so.
Great. I guess the only other thing, and it relates more to the strategic plan, and something we've talked about for a while, is maybe getting a list of all the contracts with dates and amounts so that we can share that in the planning process.
Yep, and once, I will work on that for you. There's
It's not
still some-
immediate, but
right,
it is
correct.
something we.
Yeah,
we are
that'll
gonna
all
want to
be
do.
part of it, so.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Okay.
You already have an email on that.
Anything else,
I
gentlemen?
have ESPN, I knew it was.
With that, thank you for your time and
All right.
a
Thank
very
you.
extensive
Thank you.
report. At this point, we have the DA's office, who would like to join us up front. Thank you for
Thank you.
being here today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
All right. So I want to give a little update on the space proposal, and
Okay.
I'm not asking for anything. I just want to give these updates just to keep the conversation going.
Okay.
So I spoke with IT, and they talked about the third floor would need to have the infrastructure to support you all in broadcasting your meetings and, audio, all that kind of thing. So he had thought it might be difficult to get a concrete estimate without having a clear picture from you guys about what you would be looking for. It's kind of a circular thing, we want to get a proposal, but we kind of need to know what would be okay. That's the response a lot is well, I don't know if this is going to be all right. So I've been kind of working on that. I asked for a rough estimate just based on the current setup that we have here, understanding that, that might change depending on what you actually want and what actually comes to fruition. Another option that I had not originally considered, but that I've been kind of thinking about is the probate courtroom, because it's already networked. It has microphones. They broadcast over Zoom, but they do have court on Tuesdays and some Thursdays, but every Tuesday. So that I think is something that may be worth discussing depending on the prospective cost of the third floor. I know that I teach at Eastern Maine, and I always have my mock trials in there every year, and I usually have 20 people in there, and we do our trials, and it's been fine. So I think that the space has a lot of things that work. It already has bench seating, audience seating, and it has, mostly the networking and the audio. So that's the conversation with IT. I spoke with Brian from maintenance. He did a walkthrough with Christine and I. He's reached out to an architect, but just, walking through, talking about what we would need, he didn't think that anything that we might need would be too difficult to accomplish in terms of our needs here in this room. Christine and I also had WB Mason come and walk through and measure this space and everything, and they are putting together a rendering of what they could do for cubicles. That really would be the bulk of the work and the cost, I think. And so they're going to give us some options and an estimate. She said that would be within a week or two, and they just came at the end of last week. So that's just an update on that.
Just a question, if we move forward with this, is there ARPA funds that would be available to use for projects? We set some aside, didn't we, for projects in the building?
Nothing specific to this project, and at this point and I'm getting a head shake, no, I think it's a stretch at this point. So we had to finalize, as you know, at the end of the year. And then for this first quarter reporting, you really kind of have to nail it down to like specific projects. I can look and see if there's something that's in there that might be similar, alike. But again, I'm looking at our grant manager and I'm not getting an affirmative look, so.
Okay, I thought it was just a line item for building improvements. It's very specific building improvements.
It is, but at this point now, we've got to we're at the point where we have to kind of identify those projects, yes.
So kind of, I mean, when do we have to identify them?
Oh, it was already done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, by
And they're all
December
going forward?
31st, it has to be very descriptive, and it has to be, we had to create a contract basically within ourselves to do it.
Yep.
And those funds have to be expended by the end of December of next year,
December of 2026.
2026, right?
I guess one of my observations would be, we meet at this point twice a month. We tie up this room,
Yeah, that's crazy.
52 weeks out of the year. It seems a more logical use of this space to create what needs to be done. I don't see that Tuesday is written anywhere on a stone tablet that that's the day we have to meet. So we might want to consider whether use of the probate court on days that it is not in use by the probate system could be to our advantage to not spend a lot of money relocating. The question is, if the judge would
Is
be
this the
amenable.
direction
and
that
if-
we want to go in?
I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah,
I mean, as opposed to putting money into the third floor for 2 meetings a month again.
Oh, no, I thought that might be an option,
Yeah.
so that's great.
And there's nothing that binds us to this building to have a meeting every month, right?
To this building, or?
I mean, like if we took the show on the road a couple times.
Oh, yeah, that's certainly an option,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
it's
that's
big
a
county.
novelty.
Yep.
That's a
Millinocket would be thrilled probably if we.
Oh, sure, we're just,
We're gonna have an county seat.
Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate your openness to this. I really
I
do.
think it is worth us exploring different options. So it's not going to happen next week, but I think it gives us some more food for thought here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing that I want to tell you about
Okay.
is we are losing 2 prosecutors within this coming month. Maggie Gray is retiring. That's actually kind of ties into the space issue. She has been part-time for many years, and she has handled drug court, and she's done a great job with it, and that's been her only job. And so she sits down at the courthouse because she works with the drug court team there, and she's only there part-time, so that has worked out.
Okay.
But with her retiring, we've had an open part-time position that has remained unfilled because Maggie's kind of an exception. It's pretty difficult to have a part-time prosecutor unless it's a very specific role, because when you have a caseload, what you end up with is the full-time prosecutors having to cover a lot for the part-time prosecutors. So we are combining her part-time position with our open part-time position to create a full-time position, which is going to be a big help to us. But that is part of the reason why.
You want to bring them up here.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Yes. So she is leaving. She will be done in May. She's been kind of helping us. She was going to be done earlier, but we just hired our new prosecutor, which filled an open full-time position that we already had open. And so she's been staying to kind of train our new prosecutor who is taking over drug court and also has a caseload of her own. So we also have another full-time prosecutor leaving. She and her husband are moving out of state. And so she will be leaving. She does Newport Court. And thankfully, Newport Court, well, I shouldn't say thankfully, but their court is like riddled with mold. So they are being hosted in Bangor Court right now. So it's going to be a little bit easier for us to cover that for a little while. So she is leaving at the end of April. So we are going to be down 2 full-time positions. We've been down a full-time position since October that we just filled with Caitlin. We do have a couple of candidates that I think will come. One is someone who interned with us while she was in law school. She was at Maine Law. She clerked for a year. Her clerkship will be done in August, and she has an interest in taking a district court, so that works out well, because Newport is a district court. We also have a candidate who is graduating in May. She has demonstrated throughout the time she's been in law school that she is, her career path is prosecution. She's been on the prosecutor track from the beginning. She works in the Quincy District Attorney's Office as a student attorney right now. She's done multiple bench trials. And she has an interest in domestic violence, which is great because Joanne and I were handling all the domestic violence and sexual abuse, child and adult. But Joanne was going to retire, but thankfully stayed on in a different capacity. She's no longer doing domestic violence, so I am drowning in domestic violence. So that is very helpful to have someone who's, a lot of prosecutors say, I want to prosecute, but I don't want to do sex abuse. I don't want to do domestic violence. And so that's something that's important to me, especially looking for that. It is common practice to hire attorneys pending bar admission. Firms do it all the time. Every single summer you will see attorneys that are really like interns following, shadowing, getting, doing all the work that basically a student prosecutor can do. They're just waiting on their bar results. And actually DA's offices, I understand, used to do it as well. But our governor is not willing to sign financial orders for people who are not sworn to the bar. And I have gone to HR, who's gone to the AG's office. Chris brought it up at the Maine Prosecutors Association meeting this month. She's just not willing to budge on it at all. She will not sign a financial order for someone who has taken the bar but is pending admission. So we want this person to be able to get started and get trained so that when she is sworn in, she can just jump right in and start working. And I also think it would be one of the reasons that we've turned over so many fresh out of law school lawyers in the last 4 or 5 years is because of the overwhelm. They get sworn in, they start, and it's like, here's 300 cases, we train as much as we can, but it is a very hectic time. I mean, I think a DA's office is a fast-paced environment anyway when you're starting out as a new lawyer, but right now, the way we are with the backlog and the extra hearings that are going on from the lawyer situation and COVID, it's a very stressful time to start out. And so I think that letting someone start before they are licensed would give them the ability to kind of get their feet wet, get acclimated, get trained in writing case notes, watch court, meet the judges, get comfortable, and then be able to actually have a fighting chance of not just drowning right when you start.
So is that what the request for the $6,000 is for?
Yes.
So it's under criminal forfeiture. Is that where you anticipate the money would come from?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's not a 40-hour week, how many hours a week?
It's not, so we'll be paying her $25 an hour for 24 hours a week, because we do want to use forfeiture money because it's not taxpayer money. I mean, it's not lost on me that the state is supposed to pay the salaries of prosecutors, and I think it's ridiculous that they won't, help us out when they know that we're short and we need it. But it is what it is, and so in an effort to kind of recognize that, we are asking to do the lesser pay and on a part-time basis for the 10 weeks between when she takes the bar and when she is sworn. And she will be more akin to an intern, and we really need the help. And it's not just prosecutors that it affects when prosecutors are short-staffed, because every prosecutor is assigned a clerical person and a VWA. And so when my caseload has ballooned because we're short-staffed, their caseloads have as well.
Christine, approximately how much do you estimate in that account now?
I think right now we have $14,409.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
I'm actually working on preparing final orders, so I don't have an amount, but hopefully we'll be able to replenish it with an additional $3,000 or $4,000 once we get the final orders, and then they send it off to law enforcement, and they send us back a check. So
Yeah.
I'm working on getting us some more funds for that account, so that will help as well. And out of that 14,000, earlier, I think, I don't know if it was this year or last year, you approved that we could use, I think, up to $2,000 for we have 2 summer interns that will be coming. I believe it was $2,000 that were taken out of that account to help fund Usually we have one intern, but we have two this year to offset that.
So 2,000 per intern or 2,000?
2,000 total, I think, because we already, we have a line item in our budget, so, to help with that. So we are, 2,000 of that is already going to an intern, but for the summer interns.
Yeah. Any further questions
Or
or?
Rustine, thank you.
Okay,
We need a motion.
we would need a motion.
I move to approve the funding for forfeiture for the summer intern, $6,000.
I don't think it's summer intern, is that what you're classifying this as?
What would you,
I guess we could, yeah, I mean,
intern
Seasonal
prosecutor?
intern?
yes, yeah. I mean, she
Seasonal
won't be an attorney yet, so she is really more akin to an intern in
But
this
not-
situation.
Not the summer intern.
Right,
This
she's
is
not
an
the- right.
introductory internship that you're.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so it's
that's
an
right.
introductory internship as opposed to the already approved summer
Right.
interns
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Still gonna cost money, right?
yes.
Okay,
Yes, I
second.
just want to make sure we're not
It says
Putting
lost.
money in the wrong place.
So we've
Make
got
it a
a-
criminal offense.
We've got a motion, I believe, for $6,000 for the introductory intern position noted in our agenda. I had a motion, I had a second.
Second?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous.
Thank you, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay, appreciate your time, ladies.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
At this point, IT. Hi,
Good morning.
good morning, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be in tough shape without you.
Probably not. I've got some good guys down there. So just a couple quick updates. So at the start of 2025, we purchased roughly 40 computers from PRCC. We've just about finished replacing all of their computers with brand new ones so that they are now within warranty. So if anything happens, they're good. We just finished upgrading Piscataquis County's phone system. So they're actually running a very similar system that we have here. Just last week.
I'm assuming if there are problems, there's some remote capabilities with their system, or?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, and the nice thing as well is they're, like I said, it's just like our system, so it's virtualized, so it's automatically backed up. And if there is a system failure, it should be a little bit more redundant than it used to be, because it used to be physical systems.
And those are costs that are borne by our partner county,
Yes, I believe they used their ARPA money for the upgrade, much like we did.
okay?
Last week I finished upgrading our core firewall. We had an old system. I upgraded to a new physical system. In doing that, I also purchased a secondary firewall to be used as high availability. So if the first firewall goes down, we should still have internet, as it should fail over to that secondary unit. It also makes doing updates a little bit better because of that. The main system can go down while the secondary system stays up. That should provide a little bit more redundancy. Last week as well, I worked with one of our vendors to do patching security. We patched security vulnerabilities in our virtual infrastructure. That really doesn't do anything for the end user. It just makes us a little bit more secure so that we don't get hacked. Just yesterday, me and Beston went up to Piscataquis. They're actually moving their dispatchers out of the jail bubble or their jail control area into their newly renovated dispatch center. It's still in the sheriff's office, just outside of the jail proper.
They have a freestanding building they received several years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Build a bank up there in Guilford.
No, this is not the Guilford office. It's still the sheriff's office, like it's the jail.
Okay,
It's just outside of the actual jail. It's still in the, I call it the sheriff's office.
understood.
It's more of the administration side of the jail. Me and Beston, once I'm done here, we're actually going up to finish setting that up. So that's all I have for general updates. I do just want to go over a couple of things that I would like to do. So you mentioned a little bit earlier about putting up on the website about kind of either a newsletter or what the county does as a whole. a little bit more onto that, I would actually like to go out to RFP for a website redesign. Currently, we as an IT department and with HR department, we are the sole creators of the website. We built it originally and we update it. I want to pull in a third party to rebuild it, make it a little bit more modern. I've had a couple complaints that our current website's not very pretty. So I want to get it a little bit redesigned, get it a little bit more modern, make it look a little bit better.
Yeah, you may or may not be aware that we did authorize a contract to do a printed item, what county government does. That's underway. I received the preliminary drafts a week or so ago, and we're working through that. I hope by the end of the month to have a draft that we can share so you could see what is included in that and maybe add that to the design. But I think there's certainly value. Go ahead.
Yeah, in your memo, you said a redesign of the website redesign. So how long ago was the website redesigned?
I would assume it's been the same website for quite a while.
Okay, so it's nothing that was recently completed, you're doing it again, it's been a while. It needs it, I agree, it needs it.
Yeah, it looks like the same original
But
one
when
back.
the way you wrote it, I thought it was just
Yeah.
something recently done.
Okay. That covers today's activity.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had.
Okay, I appreciate what you're doing. As I mentioned to the folks earlier in the PRCC update, we'd like to start inventorying contracts, and if you would be able to at some point prepare sort of a summary of what the contracts are for the different IT services.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that, yeah. Are you looking for contracts versus renewals, like a software renewal? Would you consider that a contract?
Is there a fee associated with the renewals?
Yes.
That we would want to see that. So we're working with the Strategic Plan Committee, providing them some of this information on a 3 to 5 year basis is helpful to build out a fuller picture for us.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can easily do that.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Nope. I guess we're good. Onward and upward. Okay. Next up is emergency management. Gentlemen?
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. I'll provide a brief verbal update, and then I'll get into the things that I've sent along. Like Director Lavoie said, our Office 2 is preparing for Maine Day. That will be the first deployment of our Starlink in real use, which we're really excited for. The reason we're having two is one's going to be dedicated to the operation, and then the second one's going to have a different function, again, still within the operation. We are supporting the Penobscot canoe race, emergency comms this weekend with our recently acquired mobile communications tower with built-in repeater. So we're excited to help that process. That's something our members of our communications, our amateur communications team have been involved in the past and continue to be involved in now through their association with the Pine State Amateur Radio Club. That piece of equipment, again, will be deployed the following week at Maine Day to provide assistance to the field comm team in elevation for communications equipment. Last night, I joined PRCC at a communications training event with the University Volunteer Ambulance Corps. We had 14 students trained on enhancing their knowledge and capabilities with radio communications. It was a really great time, and appreciate the opportunity to join PRCC and Supervisor Azevedo on that process.
So what have they done prior to us acquiring the communications tower for communication?
So for the Penobscot Extreme race, the communications were pretty broken.
comparative to hopefully what it will be under this system. This is really going to be an enhancement from what I understand and what has been relayed to me by the planning committee there. On the Maine Day event, we've borrowed, last year we borrowed Hancock County's trailer, which is the exact same thing that we have, except ours has a repeater, theirs doesn't. And then previous to that, each of the emergency management vehicles have portable masts that are telescoping and that provide 25 feet of elevation and set up on the drive-on plate under the vehicle. This one is a 55-foot mast, so it's going to be even better. But that's what's been done in the past.
Okay. As with the drone, I'm just, I'm not looking to impose anything undue on people, but I think as we deploy these for non-emergency events, we need to reflect on what the replacement cost is to the county. So if you would be kind enough to get an assessment of what it might cost. I mean, this was a $46,000 tower, if I'm not mistaken, or?
The overall cost to build out with the tower and the equipment was closer to $60,000.
So if there were some way for events to have a nominal fee that would cover this, and that money went into an escrow or reserve account for future upgrades or repairs, replacements, I think it would be prudent. I don't want to ask you, post agreement with these folks to do it, but I think if we come up with these type of activities, we need to reflect on what it means to the different communities to have this benefit and how we would like to be able to sustain that. I assume these towers have some life expectancy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we estimated the life expectancy on this tower, we said 15 years. Thanks to an agreement with Chief Sullivan at Herman Fire, we're actually able to store it inside their firehouse, which is going to certainly extend the life of that tower. I would just say, yeah, and I will certainly research that. I would say that the use of that tower benefits the community, but it also benefits us in that the field comm team is able to have better communications. They're able to take that workload out of the dispatch center. So it's really mutually beneficial. But also, again, I will certainly research a fee schedule.
And this is not to question the value either for training for potential disasters deployment, but I just think as we look at all of these cost drivers, we have to reflect on what we do to recapture some of that on behalf of the county taxpayers.
Understood.
Just a quick question on the tower. When we bought that, was that 60,000 funded by ARPA, or was it?
Yes, sir.
Funded? So, okay, that's totally.
So there
and
was.
if we had to replace it, would be done with the split that we share with the state, or the same split?
No, so the split at this point, Commissioner, with continued reduced funding, we currently, it covers our salaries.
Okay, that's it, no
That's it. Yeah.
infrastructure, okay.
Roughly 200,000 this year, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken, 214,000,
And-
and that's going down.
Yes, and I will share that one funding source which we've been very regularly able to count on, which is the Homeland Security Grant Program. That funding, notice of funding opportunity normally would have already been out and we would have already put in our application, and the funding opportunity hasn't even come out. There's a lot of uncertainty around that. So I would imagine potentially the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which is the grant you're speaking of, Commissioner Trimble, could potentially have that same uncertainty, but I'm hearing very conflicting information, so I can't really provide a solid response, just to share that the information is conflicted.
I think we're all in the same boat at this point. There are factors that are impacting our relationship with our federal partners on various levels. For your information, that's what the administrator prepared for me.
Oh, yeah.
You got one of those, okay. That gives you kind of an idea of down the road what we may need to replace with county funds if we're going to continue on this. And so I appreciate your understanding and attention to that, so thank you.
I'll have phone calls today.
Oh, I know, kangaroo court.
Other items that you have
Yes.
on your agenda?
Thank you, Commissioner. So I have two items I'm looking to seek approval for. As you know, our office maintains two vehicles, special mission vehicles, a 2023 Tahoe that we received federal funding for, that was completely funded through that, and we also have a 2016 Ford Explorer. That 2016 Ford Explorer is becoming quite aged. I was shared with the administrator a few weeks ago, it actually had some pretty significant transmission issue as it was running up the road. Thankfully, this time it wasn't anything too serious or expensive, but I don't know that we're gonna continue to be able to dodge that. So I've requested, as the commissioner, the administrator mentioned when the sheriff was here on his RFP request, possibly joining in or getting information from that group of dealers that provided RFPs. So I'm requesting your approval to purchase a 2025 Chevy Tahoe, hopefully not till the fall, that our vehicle will last that long. That vehicle is already available. One of the things that came along when I spoke to the vendor for the Colonial Municipal Group, which is a Massachusetts organization, is that he would not accept any additional vehicles to be purchased or ordered. They had already closed that, thank you, ordered, but they did have vehicles available to purchase.
So in their inventory, they have something potentially available?
Yes, sir. So how that organization, from what I understand, does it is they just order, they front load a whole bunch of vehicles in anticipation of knowing that they're gonna be able to sell them. So I initially had reached out to a local vendor who was in fact the least expensive by a couple $100, but that vendor was unable to guarantee that he would be able to even accept the order. So reaching out to the firm based in Massachusetts, they did confirm that they would be able to provide a vehicle based on what they already have on order.
And would that have some of the components already installed that would allow you to interface your computers and other equipment?
Yes, so this is the same package that the sheriff's office gets, in that it's already pre-wired, which reduces the back-end cost in the upfitting, just as the sheriff had alluded to in his comments on it. And we've successfully used with the 2023 Tahoe. So the total price of the vehicle, upfitting of emergency lighting and equipment, a cell booster for the internet, and a simple graphics package, totals to be $70,019. There is equipment that we are going to be bringing from the Explorer to the Tahoe to reduce the cost, because the equipment, those specific pieces of equipment, there's nothing wrong with them, so there's no need just because we're getting a new one to get a new one, from my perspective. So we have, as of this budget cycle, a capital account for our vehicle with a balance of $67,318 and some change, which leaves us a $2,700 shortfall. So I'd like to propose that, and I'm not sure of the feasibility, but I'd like to propose that, well, let me stop and start. At the end of 2024, at the last commission meeting, the commission approved $36,000 to buy a single light tower. I was able to work with the vendor to be able to get 2 of those light towers, or ask for a bid of 2 of those light towers for $30,000,
Just a little over,
yeah,
I think it was.
about $31,000. So that leaves a $5,000 difference in that available allocation. So I'm asking if the commission would approve using $5,000 from that fund to purchase some of the upfitting equipment. So that would do 2 things. It would allow us to fill the gap that of the $2,700, but it would also leave some money in the escrow account for the future purchase of the next vehicle several years down the line.
So this is the towable telescoping diesel-powered LED light tower.
Yes, sir.
In my notes, I see we approved one.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep. For $36,000, but I shared with the administrator that I'm not sure where the difference in cost was, but we're able to get two of them for $30,900
Two for 30,000 as opposed to one for 36.
when we collected the number
One for
originally.
16.
Well, there's
Get
that
two
too.
for 30, one for 15.
I like that, Matt. We may want to send more about budget to you.
I guess.
So for the ARPA-related purchases, if we were allocating 36,000 to purchase one and we were able to get two for 30, what does that do to our reporting requirements?
It is considered the same project, basically, because it's the same group. It's not a new group. It's not, so we could put it in as far as being the same project.
Okay. So you have a couple questions, Commissioner?
I'll start with the light towers.
Okay.
First, did we bid these? I mean, when did we bid those out? I know you said you got this.
I believe
we
There
don't
was an
have-
RFP process done in July.
And then you guys opened them here, or who opened?
Yes, we had a bid process. There were some items in EMA, as I recollect, where we only got one.
That's
bid.
correct. Yeah, so
Was this, to your recollection, one of those areas where we RFP'd and we only had one supplier, or was it the communications tower?
the communications tower was definitely the one supplier. I cannot recall at this point if this was also that.
The
There was
commission
an
made a
RFP.
decision to get the two instead of one.
Well, the commission reduced the request from 4 to 1.
Okay.
Now we're faced with the fact we could acquire two for the price of less than one.
Okay, we haven't got them yet.
Correct.
Okay.
No, our objective was not to buy everything all at once and insert into the budget a huge future allocation for replacements.
Okay, back to the vehicle.
Yep.
So why tow? Is that so you can tow the trailer, you need a vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's about the tow capacity as well as the capacity of the cargo area
Okay,
and the personnel.
and then back to the process. I mean, I know we've dealt with this company, I think Colonial or whatever. I think they do an allocation, but when we just did the sheriff's department vehicles, they actually had to bid on those as well, right? So, and I know you reached out to a local vendor. Why wouldn't we have bid this out and got, I mean, I know GMC makes it, same thing as Tower. There's other, why wouldn't we, this is a significant price, why wouldn't we
It
bid
is,
this
it
out?
is, and that is certainly something that we need to consider.
And it's too late now because everybody knows what the price is now, so.
Unfortunately, you're correct. The dilemma we have faced because of the nature of the vehicles we're buying, the small quantity that local vendors have usually been able to acquire, even post-COVID, has created complications in delivery. So, Mr.
Well, that's kind of
Administrator,
loosened up.
do you have
the last
any
20
further
months.
history that you want to share on what we should do in these cases?
Yeah, so I think if you recall, when we have gone out to bid for this. I believe the last one was purchased under the same process. They sort of piggybacked off the sheriff's, it's the same vehicle, and they would piggyback off of, so whatever the best price was we determined for the sheriff's vehicle, we just would add one for EMA if they wanted one.
Oh,
So we've
this is
already
what the
done,
This is the same vehicle?
this is the same vehicle, yes, sir.
So,
The only difference is this, the reason that it's available is because it's a black vehicle.
Right.
And the sheriffs needed white
Right.
vehicles to match, and as Director Fox will tell you,
Okay, I
at
was
this
thinking
point,
this
he
is a bigger
doesn't care.
vehicle than the
Yeah.
sheriff's department, okay.
Yeah, so we have done the process.
yeah, and the challenge we face is a supply chain issue that's affected dealerships. We still do our service
Right.
locally, but as I understand it, we have somewhat of a specialty request here because of the use of these vehicles. And we are permitted to use the same vendor if there is a existing arrangement for certain specialty.
If it's the same vehicle and you've advertised it, I don't see why you could, to me, it'd kind of be, duplicitous to have to go back out and do it again. And what if you end up with a higher price? Yeah, and it certainly expedites the process, so, yeah, I think, you're more than fine.
Yeah, if the commission is more comfortable doing an RFP, we can certainly pursue that route, but I think we,
Oh, no, it's the same vehicle, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I would, if it does help, add that this one vehicle, they're pricing the same exact as if we were to have bought 10 like the sheriff's. was doing.
Correct.
So they're holding that price for us.
okay,
Thank you.
all right. Anything further on the vehicles? Are we ready to authorize that?
I would move to purchase a vehicle from, what was it, Colonial?
Yep, Colonial Motors Group,
Yes.
CMG, yep.
At the price quoted.
And that would include they don't do the graphics. You're saying the price that we're quoting here includes what the completed vehicle,
If you are approving the 70,019, that would be the total cost of everything that's anticipated and needs to go into the vehicle.
and with the former Ford Explorer, I assume that would go to auction.
Yes, with the funds returning,
So
To the
that
escrow
could
account.
offset the balance not currently in the account, or
Good,
replenish
yep.
it. Okay,
yep.
all right. Anything further? I think I had a second. Okay, further discussion is done. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioner.
The light tower. Or towers. Are we going to take action on that?
What's the question?
So,
So
just a
there's
question.
two requests here. We just,
Originally, I wasn't involved last year, so the initial request was for 4, and they said, well, let's do a few at a time, do 1.
So the initial request that was considered in July, our list was scaled down several times for financial fiscal responsibility. But the July meeting, 2 were requested, and then no action was taken on that, as I recall. And then at the final meeting of 2024, the request was approved for 1 at $36,000.
And do we have any now?
We have 2 now, not the same technology, but yes, we do have 2 now, one stationed in Herman, the other stationed in East Millinocket.
These are the ones that come attached to trailers, and you just take them?
Yeah, they're diesel generated, it's all completely self-contained.
Yeah, I would move approval of the 2 for, what was it, 30, around 30?
it's approximately
30,900 on this memo.
Yes.
up to 31,000.
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second to acquire 2 of these light towers up to $31,000. Is that going to be delivered?
Yeah, we'll pick them up in Old Town, that covers the delivery to the office in Old Town.
Okay, all right,
We can gladly bring them from here, there.
okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So the 2 you have now,
Yes,
how
sir.
old are those?
I don't have the dates on those, I'm not sure. But we don't have them in our capital improvement plan to consider for replacement until, I believe, 2028.
And Herman's.
Yeah, and both, thank you for that point. We have contracts with East Millinocket as well as Herman Fire Departments who host them, that they do, they run them once a month. They do all the oil changes, they do all the preventive maintenance on them. The one in Herman is kept in a heated garage. The one in East Millinocket is kept under like a Quonset hut type thing.
Okay,
And for the ones that we're going to acquire, we are going to pursue indoor storage for those with partner agencies as well.
okay, great.
So just try to continue to extend the working life of those pieces of equipment.
Again, we would reflect on what we might do to recapture any revenue in the future for use of those for non-emergency events. Because I assume part of the testing might be deployment at activities if you had need for lighting.
Yes.
Okay. I think, again, just putting it all together in one package would be helpful for us when we start doing our plan. So thank you for your extra work on these requests.
Absolutely.
Anything further for EMA?
No, okay, that's information, yeah.
That's all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Tom, I did hear from .gov and responded to them on your request for that website.
Domain names, yeah.
Domain name. Thank you.
So we did receive the approval for that. We just got that yesterday or the day before, so we haven't made much moves towards anything. We would need to find a DNS, a host for anything that we do with that, which would be a cost of, I think, $4 a month potentially, and to $10 a month, but haven't got there yet.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, very much for the support.
That's good. Yep.
At this point, because we are not at 10:30, I think we bring up UT.
I think they want to, it looks like are all parties here for the abatement?
The moistens on.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to start that early. I know that with UT, it might be split, there's a,
We can do a few now and a few later, don't matter.
your pleasure, Chair.
Why don't we, since we agended it at 10:30, why don't we take
Sure.
some of your UT and then we'll move as we reach 10:30 to the hearing.
Yep.
Director Tina, good morning. Thanks for joining us. And I'm not sure if you've got the microphone that doesn't show red when it's on or if it's not on.
Green down there.
Yeah, you might just have to pull it a little closer.
All right.
We'll start with the liquor license renewal for the Sawmill Bar and Grill in T3.
Okay.
Because there are no noted complaints or concerns at the place, Deputy Chief assured us that they've had no issues with that particular establishment. And because they've had their license for 5 years, we don't need a public hearing. So we just moved to do the renewal.
Okay. We have any comments from District 3, or do you have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Tina has the actual, the original,
I didn't get it to Mary Ann in
That's
time.
okay.
so, the other thing is Eagle Point's the next one, Eagle Point Energy is our next one on there. We'll wait for later in the morning to take care of that one, when we get our official here from Epic.
Understood. Okay.
LUPC, I'm gonna, we talked a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, about reappointing Peter Prey to the LUPC board. Scott has generously taken the lead on some of that and talked with Stacy Byer at the LUPC and got some information.
All right. Do you have anything you would like to share?
Just, Mr. Prey is going to fill out the application and updated information and present for us. I believe at this point, the legislature will be out of session, but according to the rules, yeah, right. According to what I understand of the rules is that he would still be allowed as a renewal to participate and vote. And then the next time the legislature is in session, the commissioner needs to go down and confirm it.
In some of these cases, they actually call in the committee of jurisdiction to have the hearing, and then the Senate comes in for a vote out of regular session, so that may happen.
May be a possibility, but yeah, it's in motion.
Great. And we did advertise for that too?
No,
We did not.
So we're waiting to find out if we had to, right?
we didn't have to advertise for that.
Okay.
Right, yeah, unless you wish to.
No,
Okay.
I think if
That's
we
what I
have a
thought, so-
willing party that has experience,
We
Yeah,
had to fill out every other aspect of appointing a person to the board, but we didn't have to advertise for the position if we're gonna reappoint.
and to your knowledge, no one else has indicated a desire to serve.
To me, no one else has indicated.
All right, so would we want to take action now, or we need to wait?
no action necessary at this time, Chair. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just an update. We'll skip over the food sovereignty for now, and
Good
we'll
idea.
just take a few minutes to bring you up to speed with last Wednesday. I met with with Millinocket, the town manager and the fire chief, and we're beginning our contract talks. Our contract runs out the end of June.
And last year, you remember, we had 11 months of trying to gather information and work with them on coming up with a contract price. This year, they were forthcoming with the time, the date, how much they had invested in each and every ambulance call and each and every fire call. So we reviewed all the data that they gave us, and it was a very easy negotiation when you get it laid in front of you, what they need, what they get. And they've dropped our price for ambulance contract starting July 1. If we accept it, there's no vote needed today. We don't have the contract in front of us. They've dropped that for $10,000, but they increased the fire side of the contract by $20,000. So the net effect is a $10,000 increase to the county, which I can't argue wasn't fair to us after seeing all the data, all the calls they had, and what time it took them to get there and do the work. So,
And this is the same agency that we provided funding for ambulances on?
no, that was East Millinocket. This is Millinocket.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll deal with that in another week or two.
understood.
But I just wanted to let you know that we're working on getting that here. I don't have a contract for you to review yet. We're making a change in it. We're adding one caveat to the contract where we're gonna pay $150 for a non-transport. They get several non-transports from some of their places, and they try to bill our resident for that, and without very much success. So in order to cover some of their bases and help our residents out, we'll pay the $150 for the non-transports. I think they had 4 non-transports last year.
What areas does this cover? What areas of the county does that cover?
They cover 7 townships around Millinocket.
So is it all part of the UT?
It's all UT.
Okay, so it won't really impact counties. eh?
No county
Okay.
stuff, no. I don't get to spend much of your county money.
So all, 100% of it's in the UT?
Yes,
Okay.
the areas that were covered with contract will all be unorganized territories. Also, our animal control officer, our regional animal control officer has picked up 2 towns that she's going to assist. They have an animal control officer. Howland and Enfield both have an animal control officer, but when she's on vacation or not able to make a call, they wanted a backup. So they're using our regional animal control officer for backup. And we're in the process of getting those contracts signed.
Is this a result of some of the ongoing communications of the public group up there?
No question.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's been a great group to work with, that whole Howland area.
I think the commission knows, and I think perhaps Commissioner Marshall has participated in some of that, but that working group for the Highland Fire District is continuing discussions, and it's encouraging that that's taking place in this county, because it's one of my goals this year is statewide how we can find more ways for rural and mid-sized communities to collaborate on things.
To collaborate, yes. One last thing on animal control. The town of Lincoln's animal control officer is retiring, and they've asked if we could help them with our regional animal control officer. And after talking to her and her husband both at length, we've determined we're going to do a 3-month trial, see how it works. If she can handle the extra workload, great. She could use the extra hours.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then we'll back up and try a different program. There's no reason that we can't consider a separate regional animal control officer for that region. But we'd like to do this 3 months trial, so we'll put a contract in front of you for that shortly.
Do most of these communities use the same shelter or shelters for?
Most do, in that area, yes.
Yeah.
Is it in Lincoln?
It's either Lincoln or Bangor, those are your choices, yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you and the Millinocket Fire Department for the timely communications in providing the data necessary to successfully conclude this negotiation for our area. This is the type of communication we hope to establish and have on an ongoing basis.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your work.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your help.
Well, your talents are coming to bear here.
We'll come back when we have our guests in the room, and we can cover the last couple of topics, if you would.
That's great. Well, we are just about to 10:30, so this works well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point, I feel comfortable, we're close enough to the hour to bring folks forward for the tax abatement hearing. If you'd like to join us at the front table.
Believe it,
I think, yes, you're covered with this now.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners,
Good
I have
morning.
handouts for you.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
this one, are these specific, because on these notes, you want to.
So this is a new one.
Okay.
This is a new one.
So, before you hand that out, unless there's an objection from the other side, all evidence has been submitted, and we had this conversation. Unless, yes, sorry, I'm Scott, yes, Brian, yeah. So I would say that if the other side objects or you provided them a copy.
I have a copy for you here.
Okay.
Okay, could you provide them a copy so they can at least
Yes, sir.
quickly review it? Yep. And if you would take a seat for a moment, and we'll have everyone introduce themselves after they've had a chance to review it. We'll determine what we do with that. So if you'd like to proceed in introducing yourself, sir.
I am David Moisen. For 25 years, I've owned land in Enfield. The property taxes have been paid promptly and in full.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. Thank you for being here this morning. You folks, if you're ready to introduce yourselves, please proceed.
Sure. Gina Batchelor, Town Manager for Enfield. I have Travis Roy, he's our assessor's agent with me today. We have gone through a revaluation, so we did submit our evidence 2024. That was, we saw an increase in overall values and trying to be fair and equitable through that process, where it hadn't been undergone since the 1990s. So we do understand that that was a significant time frame in which a revaluation was not addressed. So we hope to stay up on that in the future.
So what I'll do at this point is just pause and say, based upon what you're reviewing there, and I realize it's a fairly lengthy packet, if you need a couple more minutes to make a determination whether you feel any of that would be appropriate for us to receive after the testimony or information has been provided, we'll determine whether the commission will receive that too.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, may I add here?
You may.
Virtually the entire contents, most of the contents of this comes from Enfield's evidence package.
Okay.
The
However,
rest of it comes from their website.
Okay, understood. However, it is past the time that you were advised that you needed to submit information, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure
Okay.
what.
So you were advised by the administrator that we needed to have our packet submitted by a certain...
I was not.
We're past the evidentiary, introduction evidentiary, isn't it? Is that the question?
Did you communicate verbally or by email with the county?
By email.
Okay.
I asked if I could present a handout. My understanding is yes.
And then we'll determine whether...
And the handout is strictly to help you follow my argument.
I understand that.
That's Friday.
Okay. What was the deadline, Mr. Administrator, to provide this information?
And
One moment. What was the deadline that was established to provide the evidence?
Yeah, the general advice is, the general request is 10 days prior to the date. We had this conversation, I will say, we did not have a conversation about presentation of a pamphlet today or an additional evidence. The conversation with regards to the length of your testimony.
we did discuss that.
Okay.
My recollections, we also discussed it, a handout. Now, this could not be completed until the most recent, well, until the last few days, because Enfield did not provide information necessary to complete this document. That information was requested first last December.
If I could, and I'm strictly doing this on quite a bit of experience, but I'm no lawyer. One of the reasons for submitting the evidence in a timely fashion is that you're being presented evidence now that these folks, the other side has not had an opportunity to review. So that would, if that is the case, and Mr. Moisen wishes to make that a firm request of the commission, then I would advise that you delay this tax abatement hearing for another date. Otherwise, unless the town of Enfield doesn't object. But that is the reason why you need to bring in evidence in a timely fashion.
So I would offer this, is there any part that you would like removed from that packet and other items that you would allow us to have presented as additional testimony today?
I think the town has provided a sufficient evidence package that includes the materials that you need to decide this case.
Okay, so nothing in there is something you'd like to present before, or have presented before the commission?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Would you agree?
So how does the commission feel in regards to that information that has been provided today? Are you satisfied that we have what we need at this point, or do you want?
Well,
There's an
I'm not
objection
clear,
on.
I'm not clear in what you're saying here.
Most of the information that Mr. Moisen has provided was already provided by the town in our evidence package or in his.
So it's nothing new that
documentation.
you've seen?
There is some new information here as far as his calculations and his
You have a chance
reasoning.
to, give us a chance to.
So, Mr. Moisen, I will offer you the opportunity to either not present your packet or delay this hearing until we've had the appropriate time to review
Can I
it.
throw one other option?
Yes.
Does the town object to the document being in it today?
I believe that's,
So
You said
there's some,
most people in there already.
I think what they're saying is they would prefer not to have.
I-
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you directly,
So
so
I'm
you prefer to wait?
I think the gentleman who has brought the case has the option before him to either continue without that packet or to
Right.
delay for a future date so that we would have that submitted as additional
There's a third
testimony.
option. If they don't object, we can take it today and weigh it how we want.
That's
That's what I'm asking, if they object to it.
I think that was a question I asked that was already answered.
That hasn't been answered yet. They said, the answer was, it's what they was in the pack except for a few things, and I haven't heard the object to it.
Okay, so clearly, would you prefer not to have that entered at this point into the official testimony for today's hearing?
I will allow Travis Roy to speak on that as our
Okay.
assessor's agent and as the one responsible for preparing the abatements that were reviewed by the select
Thank you.
board as our board of assessors.
A quick review of it says that almost all of it is information that we've already presented. The rest of it is Mr. Moisen's attempt to teach you assessing math. So we do not agree with that, and we would object to that piece being in it
Okay,
at this late time, because we've not had a chance to review anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I make this recommendation then, is to proceed with the hearing? And if it gets to the point where that comes into question, then whether or not you, as you discuss that, if the document may prove to be helpful either way, then it gets presented to the commission.
But also, as part of his oral testimony, he can
Exactly.
state those figures
Yeah.
as an oral testimony.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying.
We just don't get the document, but he can state
Right.
what his figures
Right.
are, and we can take notes on it.
Absolutely.
so would you agree that a good portion of the information provided in your current packet was already provided by the town?
Most of the contents of this package comes from Enfield's evidence package. This handout comes from Enfield's evidence package.
Okay, so to that end then, I would allow you to make the choice of whether we do not submit that full packet today or we delay the hearing to a future date and
It is
allow.
best we delay
And allow us to,
the hearing until you had a chance to review this.
Okay. We will have to determine a later date that would be appropriate, so I can't give you that date today, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I move we postpone this until they can get a
Thank
date
you.
together with the county
and I'm
administrator.
assuming you're gonna leave those packets with us today for our review? is
Yes,
that-
sir, I will.
Okay. And you have a copy of the package, so you can determine if there's additional information you wish to provide within the time frame. Okay.
Thank you.
I thank you both for your understanding of how we need to proceed. I know it's difficult when you've already made the trip. We will be back in touch with both parties regarding that. At this point, we are closing the hearing.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, we had a motion.
Yeah.
Had a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'll be in touch.
Okay, George, I believe you have the opportunity to join us again if you would do so.
You're gone from the 22nd, okay. Yeah, if you can send that to me in an email. Yep. Yeah.
Good morning. Again.
Morning again. We're still waiting for a guest to arrive, so if you want to wait, we can come back after we do some more of the meeting.
And
Or
this is related to,
Eagle Point Energy, we're waiting
yes,
for Roy
okay.
Donnelly to show up. He's in Piscataquis County.
Okay.
Their county commissioner today, presenting the exact same thing to them.
understood. So at this point, did you want to proceed to the food sovereignty?
I think it's on the agenda, and we should probably, we haven't reviewed it since December 17th. We tabled it at that point, so everybody could gather their thoughts.
And at that point, we had a prior commissioner, so could you summarize for,
I would just say, I was at that meeting.
Oh,
so I
okay.
Caught most of it.
Yes, and we tried to include you on any information we
Yeah.
had on that meeting.
Thank
Yeah.
so how many counties, to your knowledge, at this point have?
Two that we're aware of.
And it is comparable to what we're being asked to consider today.
Our legal team at Rudman and Winchell reviewed this ordinance. They took an ordinance that we copied from another town and totally changed it to give us the protections in it that they were comfortable with. So I'm comfortable, based off their legal review, that we move forward with this ordinance.
Oh, okay.
We have a copy of it. I
Yeah,
believe all the
I
commissioners.
have one, and I didn't bring my papers with me, I don't file on this thing.
I think I put a copy of the ordinance, the current one?
Yeah,
You
Yep.
don't have a copy of the
Well,
one?
I got 3 more here anyway.
I've got a copy with me.
okay.
And this is the one that our legal staff reviewed.
Rudman and Winchell.
Was it Aroostook County,
They reviewed a draft from the town of Chester
Chester,
that we had.
right, and this has been passed, and this is the form that's been recommended by our legal counsel
That was
to
That was
address.
the ordinance that our legal team at Rudman and Winchell recommended we go by, rather than use
Okay.
the form we've tried to cookie cut from Chester.
All right.
Any other questions?
We've already had the public hearing on it, and we had several people speak at that public hearing. Some of those residents have requested that we bring this back up for review.
Wait for the administrator to get back.
Sure. So we'll transition to the epic item on the agenda.
You want to do that for now, and then?
Sure. That gives people,
What's the next item here?
we're talking about,
Contract with Eagle Point,
Oh,
Eagle
yeah,
Point
okay.
Energy. Yep, this is Roy Donnelly.
thanks
I'll
for
let him
coming.
introduce himself.
Yep, so my name is Roy Donnelly. I work with Evan Coleman at Eagle Point Energy Center, Eagle Perk Plant over in Orrington. I think you guys are all very familiar with the project at this point. I'm happy to give any background on where things stand now, or I believe that your council had some comments on the contract as proposed. And then certainly.
What's your title at Eagle Point?
Project manager at this stage. It's a pretty small crew right now. I think we have 8 total folks on the payroll. That's obviously going to need to change significantly as it reopens. But for right now, that's.
You're still doing some repairs and renovations over there, as I understand it?
Yeah, so we started repairs and renovations in as much as we can do right now. the push for contracts and, the push for legislature that would give us a power contract on the other side so we can sell power and take trash and make money from both. The push is to get as many of those signed and to get the the power contracts legislation through, to basically coalesce financing. And
So
there's-
we have had a prior contract with the prior owner.
Yep,
And this would be, as I remember, is it a $75 per ton tipping fee? Or what?
No,
it had gotten up to $90.93.
yeah.
Okay.
The contract is proposed to be $89, an escalator that has a floor of 2 and a ceiling of 4%, 15-year term, which lines up with the debt that we're looking at, the construction loans, which is important term-wise. And there's a number of, if there's comments on the terms themselves, we're more than happy to take the feedback. And
We've asked for legal review from Redmond and Winchell. We haven't got a definition back. They're drafting that portion of the legal review.
Okay.
Their concerns were, they would recommend a very thorough indemnification and hold harmless clause, which they're trying to draw up. So we can't vote to approve it today, but we can certainly, just wanted to review it while we had Roy's time to answer any other questions. But right now, according to Tim Pease, they'd like to change some verbiage in it to improve on some of that hold harmless clause.
Okay.
They're concerned about the lawsuit between Epic and PERC, and they don't want us to come off getting burned from that, which is a good review.
Yeah.
But we will come back to you after the fact, once we have a draft, and get it in your hands for approval. But right today, we're just trying to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. And is there anything else we're overlooking that we should be considering?
What is the status of the current trash or refuse that's coming out of the UT? Is that going to a landfill, or is it passing?
It's bypassing through. We're using Epic. We're delivering it across the scales under their name.
yeah,
Based off some recommendations from our lawyers a while back. Yeah, it's going to landfill currently because they're not
Is that the
positioned to
Juniper
take
Ridge?
it.
Is that where
Yeah.
it was?
That's where everybody's taking their trash right now.
In this area?
Yes.
There's
This-
waste management. So,
This is a sad situation we have in our area.
yeah, we're not following the model of reduce, recycle, and reuse.
No, we're not hitting the hierarchy very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your coming today. Are there other questions that the commission may have for Mr. Donnelly? I think,
No, I guess more for George. I mean, I know this, so our initial contract came up, and now this is a renewal. Have we looked at other options? I mean, have we-
Yeah, I talked with the MRC, or the Maine Waste Hub, as they call themselves this week. Met with them at length, talked to them about possibilities. Because we didn't stay with them, we divorced them back all those years ago, then we would go in there at a much higher rate. And if they had to kick somebody out because they were full, we would be the first ones out. So at this point, I would highly recommend we try to find a way to work with Epic moving forward based off those terms. And they can't give us a contract over at the MRC yet until they know for sure everything's gonna be up and running on their side of the table. But they are willing to accept new contract people, but at a much higher price.
I mean, quite frankly, the facility at Hampton's not doing much better right now than the Warrington facility as far as taking care of waste. So, I mean, I know you're working on it, but when, nobody wants to see this waste landfill. When do you think the plant's gonna be taking waste?
right now, we're 15 to 18-month construction timeline. That's predicated really on a financial closing with construction lenders. And we've got groups that have been circling for a while, that now that it's a clean site and permitted, and we've got a plan in place with an EPC, the contractor that can do the work. They're interested, and we're working through the underwriting with them. That's where a lot of these contracts are coming into play, is they want to see that we've got fuel for 15 years. They want to see that we can sell power, ideally for longer than just short-term strips to next year in Constellation. So closing financing, probably 18 months. We've, realistically, probably September through November of next year is when we'd be open.
Maybe you can open them, you get these, I mean, obviously the Hamden facility has the bulk of the contract, so how many times have you got contracts for it? And
So we've got 44 towns. We've got enough waste to run
make it
right
viable,
now. Yeah, so between the 44 towns that we've got and transitioning over, kind of same process here. Casella brings us a lot of their waste. They do a lot of curbside. They bring a lot up from southern Maine that, you know, when it's on bypass, it goes straight to landfill. When it's not on bypass, it comes through us. That's obviously a huge anchor. And then we've got, you know, a subset of commercial haulers that, you know, kind of bring in the balance. As of right now, we've got enough waste to run and make the power we need to make the numbers work. So it's just a matter of getting it, the term length is really the big thing for us and for the lenders.
Thanks.
One thing, I don't know if Roy can answer it, Chair, but the future use of our baler that we helped them purchase, I didn't know if Roy could address that a little bit, if you could, or if that's something Evan would have to address.
I can let Evan share, I guess, more detail. I guess at a high level, the DEP, the initial plan for the baler was to use it for the waste that had been left behind. And rather than have to pay to dispose of it and haul it off site, save that money, use it for construction, and instead bale and store the waste, it wound up being like 16,000 tons when it was all said and done. The baler is still brand new condition, hasn't been touched. It's sitting there safely. The plan for it at this stage going as part of the existing operation, since the DEP, rightfully so, want us to just get rid of that trash.
As to what?
They wanted the trash disposed of because it had been there so long.
Yeah, right, okay.
So there's waste left behind at the old PERC facility. The plan with the baler in the spring of last year was to, rather than have to haul that all to a landfill at a pretty expensive cost, run the baler, get the water out of it, store it. Yep, exactly. And then the DEP was just, even before that, they were like, we just really kind of want this gone, which is, it was a problem, expensive problem to fix, but it's fixed. The plan for the baler going forward is, you know, to handle overflow in times like summer, when we get more waste, if we can store some for winter when it's a little bit down. We've got to, you know, make sure that we're not storing too much on site, but the baler definitely serves a function for us going forward. As once we're up and running, they won't let us.
$900,000 we paid, or $600,000 from the county, is not, initially was to mitigate the trash already there. Given the fire, that's out the window.
Right, so that trash has been disposed.
So we've got a $900,000 baler sitting there as a backup.
It's a backup and a piece of equipment that will be part of the process once up and running. It hasn't been used. There's no depreciation on it at this time.
My understanding is that the flow of trash into the facility does not always follow a consistent pattern.
Right.
And so while it's not used for the initial process, there is the potential that it can eliminate or mitigate some of the bypass waste directly going into the ground.
Yeah, I understand that.
The baler is owned by the town of Orrington and is a contractual relation with Epic. So
We made sure that the baler stayed with the town rather than the operator.
In town of Orrington, I understand, is part owner of the facility?
Yep.
With somebody else, they own like 80% with somebody else?
Yep, so that's us, you know.
Your group, okay.
The group, yeah, Evan and I, the money we've been able to raise, and then the town of Orrington.
Remember, we signed a letter of intent with them just to, so we don't get the CPI increase this year. It isn't mandatory that we sign a contract with them, it's just a letter of intent to get to this point in the contract negotiations.
And you anticipate in the near future, Rudman will have completed their...
We, very professional team, I'm surprised we didn't have it here today, so, yeah, I expect to hear that soon, yeah.
Great.
We produce, we turn in about 850 tons through the contract.
Right. Anything further from Mr. Donnelly?
No, thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time to join us here today and look forward to updates.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any questions anytime, through George or however, I'm happy to answer them and let you guys know where we're at, so.
Thank you very much, Roy.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're good. Go
So,
back to our
Go back to
regular
our,
schedule.
go back to our puzzle pieces here.
So we have before us the proposal that has been approved or has been reviewed by Redmond Winchell, and the question is what action the commission wants to take on the food sovereignty resolution or ordinance.
Well, since we passed we've enshrined the food sovereignty into our constitution by an overwhelming vote 2 years ago. To me, this is would be the legislative authorization as it affects our residents in the unorganized territory, which we are responsible for providing services and government oversight for. So, I will be supporting the measure. Our motto in Maine is Dirigo, I lead. And it's from the Latin verb dirigere, to lead. And, those of us who remember construction, your English and Latin and French construction when we were kids, is I lead, you lead, he or she leads, then we lead. Well, we lead is dirigibus, and I think it's incumbent upon us, the county commissioners, to lead in this area and to affirm the right enshrined now in our Constitution. I think our legal counsel has provided us a document that passes their muster, and we have constituents out there who have requested this type of clarification. It brings to mind, and I've heard some people in some of their question about need for this, talked about, there may be a possibility of lawsuits here or there. Well, I've never in my life ever underestimated the ability of the legal profession to find measures of ways or means to bring litigation. So that doesn't deter me from this issue. But I think we need to provide direction. And I think of all of the schools, the PTAs, the church groups, who currently have bake sales that they have to fund all of the myriad of benefits that we use to send our kids to Washington DC, or for the pep rally, or for the church, whatever. These things also don't currently fall under under what some of the detractors suggest may be a threat. So in light of that, and in recognition of our obligation as commissioners, I think we need to lead on this issue. And I will be, I don't know when the time comes, I will be making a motion to approve.
So I think this would be an appropriate time if you want to present your motion.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve for the unorganized territory only. For those who are listening that may think this is a countywide, this is only related to the unorganized territory. So we have a local food sovereignty ordinance motion to approve as printed. Do we have a second?
Yes, at least for discussion purposes.
Have a second for discussion. Do you have any other discussion?
Okay, question, I guess.
Certainly.
I was here at the meeting in December, so I'll get some questions, George. So if, right now, there's a new state law of food sovereignty. If we don't pass this, what can people, what's the difference passing this and not in the UT? I mean, Bangor, we haven't passed any. I don't know of any towns in the county that have passed any additional ordinances since.
Many towns in the county have.
Oh, where?
Mattawamkeag, Chester.
Okay, northern part of it. So what is it, similar to this?
Yeah,
Chester was the original
Chester,
ordinance.
most everybody took Chester's example and
Okay.
put their name on
Okay.
it, but it's all those towns in that surrounding the Lincoln area, for the most part, have.
Because what's it allowed them to do that they can't do now?
I'm not, I'm not really sure. We've had residents come to us, I think as many as 3 residents come to us that sell stuff out on the road front, whether it be vegetables or whatever, that feel the only way they can do it legally today is by having this ordinance.
Yeah, so vegetable stuff, I mean, I get that, but in And it says in 4A and 4B, that even the exemption still doesn't apply to meat or poultry products. So if somebody's making a chicken pot pie, they still have to, this doesn't exempt them, right? Because it's poultry products, right?
I'd have to defer to a lawyer.
That's what it sounds like.
I mean,
Chickens are poultry.
the assumption could be made that there would be some restriction there,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it'd still be subject to inspection, right? Because it says,
but, right,
it says-
meat or dairy, yeah.
above does not apply to any transactions involving meat products, poultry, or poultry products, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
I don't want to be the guy that interprets that.
Right, but the way I read it with that caveat, that was much more the concern I had with this, some of these
I get
products,
trouble with vapors.
how they're stored. But also, it says, exempt from licensure. If they're not exempt, it's a state that has to go license them, it's not
The state,
yeah, so it's nothing that falls in the county to
No.
license these people.
no. If they have to have a license, they have to go through the state's
Right.
procedures.
Yeah, they all have to comply with state health regulations currently on the books. There's no derivation from that. Is that correct?
That I'm aware of.
That's right.
That was the reason we went to the professionals to draw this up legally, and their whole focus was to protect the county and the UT from possible events in the future.
Right. And I think they've achieved it from the language we see before us. I'm thinking one case where the state may require a double sink as opposed to a single sink and they're talking basically for commercial enterprises. Well, you're not talking about commercial enterprise in the UT, you're talking about a swamp house, a pond, and they have a honey operation, and they have one sink, but now all of a sudden they have to double up because this is not clearly articulated, that they have that right here in the county. And that's the purpose here, is to give them the vehicle, the citizen of UT the vehicle to address these issues and move forward. And not to be worried that this regulation from maybe Augusta or whatnot, that may be applicable to a commercial operation, is not the same thing that's going to be, or can be made applicable to a citizen in a small, in the unorganized territory in their own home. And I don't think the burden should be upon them. I think that we need to take the lead and tell them that this is what, that we reaffirm that right. And I guess that's the extent of my comment.
Anything further, or are we ready for a vote?
No, I'm struggling with it, but I can see, I think some responsibility falls on the consumer. This is only direct producer to consumer transactions. I mean, if I'm gonna buy something, I'm gonna have to make a decision, and when I go see the product or where I think it's coming from, is this something I wanna purchase?
Well, the same thing when we
something
buy,
falls on the
that's my
consumer,
point,
you know?
it's the same thing you make when you buy a whoopie pie, the
Yeah.
bake sale at a high school to fund the kids to go to, I mean, it's the same decision. The
Right.
decision will
So they can use
rest
some
with the
common sense,
citizen,
yeah.
not unduly regulated from outside, particularly in light of the constitutional enshrinement now of the food sovereignty issue. I mean, this is a pretty important issue, and it won with 60% of the vote. And these are questions that have come up where there's a bit of vagueness as to just how is that going to affect us here in the unorganized territory. Well, this is our response, this is our solution. And this is our reaffirmation of our support of food sovereignty, resting with the local citizen in the UT to have the common sense and that everybody else exhibits throughout the state when they hold these church sales and school sales and everything else. It's no different. So the fact that someone said, well, there may be a litigious element here. Well, the litigious element in the law, in the legal community, they can come up with that under any circumstance. So that is not a primary concern with me.
Okay. We'll look forward to hearing your report back on some roadside sushi that you had.
What makes you think we don't already do that? You know, we may have roadside sushi. We've been doing it for 50 years up home. I hate to pull you in.
Okay. Are we prepared, or do we need more time for the commission to?
No, I don't want to kick it down the road.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the proposed ordinance?
Aye?
I got a question.
Okay.
Can it be passed with a sunset provision for review at some point? Or-
If you would like to propose a motion, I've not ruled on the vote yet, so, or an
But
amendment.
there's no, I would,
I'll withdraw
all right,
the motion for the purpose of
all right, I
discussion.
would move that, I would support it if we had like a 2-year sunset provision, just so we can review, see if there's any problems that would come up in a 2-year period.
That would be acceptable.
So you're saying it would be a 2-year ordinance,
We were
Yeah, I
recently
mean, but
review-
we will
to
review
extend it,
this.
we'll just review it in 2 years to see if we
Whether
want
it's
to make it permanent.
reinstated or not, we wait
Yeah,
2 years to make
yeah.
that.
Right,
Yep.
that's acceptable.
Are you comfortable pausing this till next meeting to verify with our legal counsel that is?
Yeah, if that's an issue.
I just think they've prepared this, we should probably seek their advice. Is that?
That's all right.
Can we do that on the municipal level?
How about this,
Put a law.
compromise?
And then, I mean, or just-
I'll say
Ask
yes,
somebody else.
but why don't we just pass it then, if they say no, we'll just withdraw that provision later. Let's say, subject to them approving that we can do that. Okay, Pat, I'll say that.
Oh, there you go.
Subject to them
We'll
saying we
move
can do that.
it with the sunset provision,
Right, as long as it's allowed by the.
yeah.
So we're amending this, Commissioner Trumbull is proposing an amendment to put a 2-year sunset provision to the ordinance.
I'll second his.
Subject to approval by the law.
So all those in
Before you
favor?
do, Chair, if I could just ask one question, but if the sunset provision is not acceptable, does this fail or does it come back for
Come
review?
back.
Yeah, we have
I would want you want to come back.
Come back.
Okay, we're in agreement, it comes back? Okay.
So we're amending it.
Yep.
At this point, the
Okay.
vote is on the amendment. So all those who wish to add the sunset provision to the ordinance, say aye. Aye.
Good.
Now we are voting on the main motion with the amendment, with the caveat that it will be submitted to our legal counsel. If it's found the amendment is not appropriate, we'll have to revisit the vote on this, on the original motion.
Correct.
So we have an amended ordinance, subject to review by legal counsel. All those in favor of the amended motion with that caveat?
Aye.
Aye. Okay?
Okay.
Thank
It
you.
is unanimous of those present. I would caution that we don't send an announcement to Bangor Daily or any
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
But I assume you'll be able to speak to our legal
Yes.
firm and get some.
We'll take care of that today. Hopefully hear back by 2 weeks.
Thank
Do
you,
you have any
Director.
other interesting things you wanted to bring to our attention?
I think this was a struggle enough, yes.
As we have mentioned with, and I realize the UT is somewhat different, but from our strategic planning standpoint, if you're able to prepare a list of contractual arrangements with communities for fire, EMS, trash, et cetera.
How much data do you want in it? 'Cause
I sent you an email.
I saw that
Oh,
email.
okay, is that,
Vendor, town, cost.
yeah, so the town is the same as the vendor. The cost, you can put in the years or the expiration date, and then we can update it next time around, whatever is,
We have that anyway.
we get something.
We have a
I know
calendar
you
of all
got pretty
that.
good records. It's just, they come in bits and pieces.
It's a
and-
long
We're
page.
trying to compile this information for all departments.
Yeah.
And have it centralized so we can refer to it, have a compendium of information that's readily available, easy to understand.
Great
We
idea.
might even use this thing called a calendar to put that into a computer somewhere so we know
That's
when it's
what,
coming up.
that's what we have now.
So,
You want us to just share the calendar with you?
yeah, whatever is easiest at this point.
It would be preferable in Excel.
Yeah, I figured you'd want
Thank you, Director.
If you want to, if you send me the information, then we'll draft it up.
Well,
Okay.
we'll put something together.
It doesn't have
Thank
to be
you.
done tomorrow.
Appreciate it. All right,
So,
now,
Chip, I just wanted to know real quick, if I could,
sure,
did we just witness a county filibuster on that?
no, I think we,
And then get the, it was rhetorical.
I understood.
Was that
I withdraw.
historical? Is that
I withdraw.
historical?
Could have been hysterical. Jay, commissioners have a resolution supplied to us by a neighboring county regarding preservation of tax exempt status for municipal bonds. As I recollect, this refers to an issue that's come before the legislature. And it is, again, a resolution just indicating if we support preservation of the tax exempt status for municipal bonds.
It's a no-brainer. It could be devastating to towns if it
Yeah.
doesn't stay.
Yeah, I've seen that. I see the language.
Would that fall under our own efforts? Coming up.
Yeah.
It could.
Is that under communications or?
It's J. I don't know if you put that in communications.
Yeah, here it is. It's under communications, Penobscot County Maine resolution. All right, who wrote this?
I believe that it came from Somerset County, and.
Tailored to our county. This is,
I
this is
think I got
good.
them all.
This is good, very comprehensive, very easy and understandable. And very appropriate.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
I would move we approve the resolution.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second,
Any further discussion?
just a typographical, that's all.
Okay, where would you like to
The
adjust?
last line, I mean, it says the 16th day of April instead of 15th, and there's no T after the number.
Okay.
Should be TH day.
Perhaps we can,
Okay,
Do we have one copy while we're saying?
we can get that squared away.
okay, we've got a little time here, so, based upon the amended version of the resolution, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye as well from the chair, so it's unanimous. Okay?
Thank you.
HR update.
All right, here we go.
We are in K, item K.
Here we are. Oh, yeah, look at those numbers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As your second meeting update, I'll go over staffing. Not a lot of change since your last meeting. We have fewer vacancies in patrol. They have made some offers and hired some patrol deputies.
Okay.
Corrections is still standing with vacancies. We are reviewing applications as they come in. And as you heard from Director Lavoy, we are pausing on dispatch right now to give everybody a chance to breathe and get their training completed before going back out for those 3 positions.
Was the one leaving at the sheriff's office, is that a retirement or?
It's a military leave, so
Military.
on a deployment, so it's a long several
good.
months.
That's nice.
And this is the same military leave we've had on an ongoing basis.
We have some current postings for a clerical and probate. We had filled it, that didn't work out, and so it's back out to fill. We also have a part-time position in finance. Finance director is reviewing some applications as they come in. There's some really good candidates there, as well as some opportunity for interns from local colleges.
Great.
And we have our maintenance technician in background, so hoping that that individual can start by the end of April.
I noticed Brian's not weeping any longer, so that's encouraging.
And as Director Lavoy mentioned, it is Telecommunicators Week, so we are doing a Spirit Day on Friday for staff and anybody to wear black and gold in support of our PRCC staff. And I just wanted to thank PRCC staff on behalf of the county for their service. Their integrity and conduct reflect greatly on Penobscot County and the citizens that are residing here. And especially thank you to their families for their unwavering support As you know, they work very long hours, holidays and weekends, and all of the times when you have children and families. And so without their family support, they couldn't do their job.
Thank you. And we do want to note some of the internal activities that your department's doing for events. Hopefully, many people are participating. I especially like the Crazy Hair Day. It worked out well for me, so.
I think Jason Raymond won Crazy Hair Day. He did submit a photo.
Okay.
It'll be in the newsletter.
Excellent.
Oh, is that what that was for? I was looking at it going, oh, okay, I'm not sure which one it is, but.
He was just being funny, as he doesn't have much hair either. But I included him because participation means something.
Absolutely. Okay, great. That was staffing. Administrative update. Opioid
Yes.
committee discussion.
Yep,
Great discussion.
so I have 3 names now. Pat Kimball, Randy
Jackson.
Jackson, and who's the third? It was mentioned, I meant to write down Pat Kimball. Well, anyways, we have 3, so,
Jamie Beck.
yes.
And the sheriff has appointed.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I've appointed someone, Dan has appointed someone, the sheriff has appointed someone.
No,
No,
I get
no.
that.
You got that.
I got that.
yeah.
So is the sheriff,
So we have a committee now of 5. It's those 3, the sheriff, myself. Unless you feel somebody else should be
no.
on there.
No, five's good, five's good.
Okay, so we'll start putting this together, sort of an introductory letter. I'll probably reach out to you for addresses and contact info and kind of get it going.
Yeah.
I think we talked about an application process was one of the first things. My other recommendation is probably to consider how much maybe how much you want to put out at first. And I think the total is over I can't remember how long, it's several years, but it's $4.5 million roughly. In-house, we are using roughly 200,000 at last year.
For the MAP program.
For the MAP program.
Did that include the breaking the cycle up in Milwaukee as well? I think that.
No, that was another 25,000, that was a year ago.
I know it's not ARPA, but do you remember that figure up in breaking the cycle in East Millinocket? They used, we used opioid monies for the tie-in there, to tie in their
The
sprinkler
fire system, the suppression, that was a prior year too, so,
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So again, we'll get that rolling.
Yeah, I do have, I did ask them to, a couple of folks to come up with a short application form just for, discussion purposes, and they do have I looked at it the other day, they have a 2-page, I'll ask them to refer that to you just as a starting point.
Yep.
I did not want, in this case, the 15-page application that the state is using. We are focusing ours basically on treatment. And they have a far broader and a far bigger mandate than we do. We're gonna be able to focus, and that's a good way to start. So I will have, I think it's Randy Jackson and Gary Bees out of Lincoln, Save a Life Foundation, working together to come up with an application they will prefer for a starting conversation. I'll have them contact you.
Yep, send it down to me and I'll have Wendy take a look at it.
I would say too that, because I've been following the Maine Recovery Council's meetings, and they have a great application as well. They've already gone through it all. So I think that we should probably tap into their application as well. And Pat Kimball, she's on that council.
What is the scope of their program that they are looking to address?
Well, it's the same as what the state has.
Which is everything, which is
It's not.
transportation, needle exchange, all of these things, right?
Maybe we can get a copy of
It
that.
can be, but like I said, I would say we could use, just the basis of what we're focusing in on, which is recovery, treatment, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, can you get a copy for me? Email it to me?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
If we're good with that, grievance response letters.
Yep.
If you're good with those, I'll send them. I'll change the date.
No further actions, we just are validating.
Right, that just kind of summarizes,
185 and 186, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
As far as 190, if you recall,
Was that the one that was pulled?
that's the one that was, you had wanted additional information, specifically a video. The video is
Oh, right.
not available.
Not available, right.
So unless.
Because at the meeting, they said 90 days, but it ended up being just 60 days.
60, yeah,
Yeah, but they reviewed that and they did contact me, they're unable to retrieve that.
Right.
Because I had asked to look at that myself.
yeah. So, so if you're okay, then I'll reach out and reschedule that.
That's fine,
Unless
yeah.
you, unless
In the
there's
absence of
another
its
idea that you
availability,
have.
we're ready to
Okay.
proceed.
Okay,
Okay.
yep. Some conversation about May 6th. I think you wanted, Chair, you wanted to attend Hancock?
Yeah, in my role as president, I'm trying to get to each county, and there are 5 counties that all meet on Tuesdays. I've been able to get to 2 of them with your adjustments in March. There are 3 others that I still need to make accommodations for. I guess the discussion about this space led me to reflect on whether Tuesday is the necessary day for us to meet, or whether the commission has other days or other times of the day that might be more convenient, and I'd certainly want to find out from staff if there are any complications. I know historically that's allowed them to schedule their other activities around us, so I just throw it out for.
I'm available to modify my schedule accordingly to accommodate the other commissioners. Whatever can accommodate you is fine with me.
Okay. Any
So what are
thoughts?
we talking about, the 6th, what do we want to do on the 6th?
The 6th,
It's
if
a
we
later
could
start,
do
but-
something later in the morning or early afternoon on the 6th, it would allow me to
Like
make.
11, you mean, or noon time?
Yeah, if I was going to Hancock, I think 11 would be fine if that.
Yeah, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, that just means I won't have to get the roosters getting me up and early to get down here for 9
If
o'clock.
11 works, that's fine with me.
We still got lunch with the TIF committee.
Oh,
Well, we can start with that.
That's what's going on,
We can start with a lunch and another meeting afterwards.
Yeah,
Okay. So on the 6th, we have a luncheon.
Lunch with the TIF.
yeah, TIF committee, yeah.
Okay. Good point.
At Georgia.
Noon
So-
time and then go on to the meeting.
Yep.
That's on May 6th, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm on my calendar with me.
May
Yep.
6th.
Is that what you were planning, we're planning noon time meeting, or what time we're planning for the meeting?
I think we're
Lunch.
planning for the meeting, then lunch afterwards, so we do.
No, what
lunch.
time were you thinking, lunch, 11 or 12?
Go lunch and then meet.
I'll check with them, and it may be a matter of,
Okay,
yeah, I'll see if 11 works.
yeah, then we just go right to the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
11:30, somewhere in that.
I was gonna
range.
say, if it happens to be a little bit later, it's okay, like
Yeah.
if it was 11:30 and then it would flow
11:30
better,
is
then,
perfect,
okay.
Whatever fits.
Okay.
All right,
So thank you for your accommodating.
on the 20th, Spirit of America?
Yes.
Okay,
Spirit of America.
so we'll hold something after the meeting, Spirit of America.
Yep.
That's what you got, 20th? On the
Yep.
20th? I'm gonna put this on my vehicle. Is there something that's already scheduled? All right, then it's in my book.
I think that's all I have. Need to get a cleaner copy of the resolution. Oh, we're looking in here, it's not on the agenda, but, I don't know if you had a chance to look at there's a lot of discussion on the capital improvement plan in another meeting. And I know you were talking like number of years and what, so I slid one of the more simpler ones in there, it's for deeds. And it goes out 7 years. It's kind of the model I'm using with the departments.
I think that's great,
This is the
thank
one
you.
that's been included here? Here it is, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we got it before us? Yep.
So this is kind of a format as we
It's
look
up to
at.
7 years, that's impressive.
In this case, once you do 1 or 2, it's pretty simple as it goes across, but.
Yeah. I think the 3 to 5 is what we had kind of asked the committee, the strategic plan committee to look at, but it doesn't hurt if we put in a 7-year. So if that's a format that we could ask the department heads to look at their contracts or other capital replacement improvements on, that would be good.
Yeah, CIP, that's what, so generally I go 5 years each year individually, then I do a 5 to 10, 10 to 20.
Yeah.
That really only falls into like with Brian, when you start talking about boilers.
Facilities.
I mean, and if you're talking a strategic plan, it should go beyond 3 to 5 years, because that's the idea, is for the future.
Yeah, right.
This 7-year really is, it encompasses most equipment. You have a 5 years on computers, photocopiers that go 7. You know, the towers, I was surprised that he mentioned 15, but probably depreciation. That's really where this comes from, is depreciation factors, and
And the
you know, it's like
7-year
anything.
scan really covers most of the items
Yep.
that we would.
Yep, fits good on a spreadsheet too, so,
Right.
yeah.
Good. Okay, anything else? All right, at this point, we would then move on to item N, which is approval of warrants. I'd entertain a motion.
I move, so,
Have a motion.
move we approve the warrants and item, who's it in?
M,
M as in Mary.
yes. Do I have a second?
Second?
Have a motion, second, further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. At this point, we have